Hey there, friends! How are you? I hope you're all doing fine and getting through the day. To the people who have been here before, thank you for tuning in again. And to my new listeners, welcome to my channel. And thank you for joining us in another storytelling session. My dear listeners, today's story tells us about a unique relationship between man and beast. This story took place in the far north, deep into the forest, where a man came across a huge animal. At first, it surprised him so much that he was unable to notice that it was stuck in a trap. He saw that it was a wolf who had been struggling for quite some time because it really looked weary. Upon closer inspection, the man found out that the wolf had swollen nipples dripping with milk. This indicated that the wolf must have starving puppies nearby. Despite her visible exhaustion, the she-wolf warded off the man from getting near the trap she was in. He realized that he needed to do something and started to look around in search of the pups. Once he found the wolf den, he tried to mimic a wolf's howl to call out the babies. After a few desperate attempts, surprisingly, out came the pups from their den. It was no doubt that their hunger compelled them to come out. Who knows how long they have been unfed? Immediately, the man took them and placed them gently in his bag. He returned to the mother wolf and gave her the puppies. The mother was so enthusiastic to finally see her babies again. While the wolf puppies were sucking milk from the mother, the man noticed a dead deer nearby. He had an idea. He went to the deer and took it back to the wolves. He served this as food so that the wolves would last a couple of days. He sliced up a portion and fed it to the she-wolf. After a long day, the man decided to stay with them for the night, so he set up a campsite. When morning came, the man woke up to puppies playfully licking and sniffing his face. His face was covered in drool, and this made the mama wolf so happy. The man thought that if he gained the mama wolf's trust, he might be able to set her free. The man engaged with the she-wolf for hours on end. He fed her and a natural connection between them developed. The she-wolf finally let herself be approached. One time, he was feeding her and he saw her tail slightly wagging. The man saw this as a good opportunity to get a little closer. So he took a blanket, wrapped it around his hand, and sat next to the huge beast. The wolf was so close that she could easily pounce on him and leave him defenseless. But sitting next to her on the cold ground, he suddenly felt the warmth of her thick fur and immediately fell asleep. The next day, he was awakened by the playfulness of the pups, and he was so relieved of being alive the next day despite sleeping next to a huge predator. Now that he was allowed to be near the she-wolf, he tried to put his hand over the wolf's badly wounded leg. It was clear that it hurt, but the wolf showed no signs of hostility. And alas, he finally freed the wolf. The man expected her to walk away without looking back, seeing that's how animals usually are. But to his surprise, she came up to him with her puppies and began licking his hands. It's as if the she-wolf was beckoning him to come with them. He was utterly amazed by the connection he made with the animal. Without hesitation, he trusted the wolves to lead the way, and further, they went into the depths of the forest. They arrived in a place with a lake of crystal clear water. The man noticed a wolf pack with 8 adults and several puppies residing in this place. The wolves happily greeted the she-wolf and her family with a howl. It was an emotional moment because the wolf and her puppies have finally been reunited with the pack. Normally, anyone would have been terrified to see these huge beasts. But the man didn't feel any tinge of fear or dread. Instead, he felt a sense of belonging within the pack. After that moment, he made a bonfire and pitched his tent. Despite seeing large wolf silhouettes among the dark, he only relished in the sight of these animals. He felt calm, as if he was a part of nature. Deep inside, the man knew that the wolves would bring him no harm, for he saved the she-wolf, and in return, she welcomed him to her new home. He slept heavily and awoke in the first rays of the rising sun. Sadly, the man realized that it was time to leave the place and his newly found company. He slowly set off and turned around to say goodbye. He felt joy and sadness at the same time when the wolf and her puppies looked right back at him as if they were going to join his journey. He waved his hand and the she-wolf let out a long, mournful howl which rang throughout the forest. But little did he know, my dear listeners, that this wasn't their final encounter. Surprisingly, 4 years later, walking through the forest, the man found himself again at the same place where he first met the wolves. He observed that the forest hadn't changed that much. He saw the same trap from which he had saved the she-wolf before. There he was standing on the same tree where he had left it. Memories flooded, and this motivated him to go back to the place where the she-wolf and her puppies bid him farewell. As he got closer, he saw the presence of a large bear near the lake. However, the bear noticed the smell of prey. He acted quickly and immediately began to attack the man. The man was horrified and climbed up a tree in an instant. The bear began reaching for the tree to grab the man and make him his meal. As the man was fighting for his life, he began to mimic a wolf's howl, just like how he did to call the wolves before. The man was already anticipating the worst fate to come when suddenly, out of nowhere, something made the bear look back and descend from the tree it was climbing. On the other side of the lake, there came huge wolves, exposing their teeth and snarling threateningly at the bear. With their numbers and ferocity, the bear withdrew from the place and fled. When the bear was completely gone, all the wolves left, but one remained. Yes, you guessed that right. It was the same she-wolf he rescued and befriended 4 years ago. The wolf let out a big howl that broke the silence of the forest as she ran back to her pack. The man left the forest safely and never returned. Even though he left the forest empty-handed, he knew what he had with him was worth more than any material treasure. Memories of the wolf pack will continue to live on with him. This experience tells us, my dear listeners, that there are things beyond logic and mere human understanding. In a short period, an unusual companionship bloomed between a human and an untamed beast. Both overcame the limits of communication and became one with nature. A friendship between a human and a wild animal may seem impossible, but it exists, and it's just rare. My dear friends, what do you think about our story today? Is a friendship between man and wolf possible? Share your experiences and thoughts with us. Make sure to leave this in the comments below. Thank you for joining us in another storytelling session. I hope you had a good time. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wonderful stories coming your way. I'll see you again very soon.